Hey everyone, what's up? Good morning. It's Wednesday the 13th. We're going to pick up with chapter 14, section 2 today. Thank you to everyone who got in the assignments that you had to get in. For chapter 14, it's a longer chapter, so I'm trying to space some stuff out. You will not have homework tonight. All right. There is going to be a worksheet that would normally be homework, but you do not have homework. I want you to look at that review sheet. I want you to look at chapter 14. I want you to read this presentation. I want you to listen to the presentation. And then I'll give you assignment tomorrow on Abraham Lincoln, and I'll probably give you 2 days to do that one, and then pick us up into chapter 14 next week to hopefully finish that. I need to get chapter 15 done by June 12th, and it looks like we're right on pace for that, which is a great thing. So all we're going to do here is we're going to pick up from the American Civil War, the causes of. We're in the middle of it right now. We've talked about a lot so far, and that's really all we're going to do. We're just going to keep that conversation going. All right, so let's keep going, and you guys can follow along. All right, we're just going to focus on the next part of the causes of the American Civil War, and this one is going to be known as the Kansas-Nebraska Act. And obviously, you can understand it deals with the territories of Kansas and Nebraska. All right, and to give you the background on this, and this is going to be a really important one. All right, Senator Stephen Douglas, and we're going to get introduced to him shortly, especially when we get into Lincoln, especially later on. All right, is a senator from Illinois. He's a very powerful senator from Illinois. All right, and he wants to develop a railroad west from Chicago, which is in Illinois. The only way he can do this is to build a railroad through the Nebraska territory. Okay, through the Nebraska territory. All right. During this time, you also had, as more people started settling in Nebraska, what do you do about the issue of slavery? You had abolitionists living in the area. You had pro-slave Southerners living in Nebraska territory. So what do? Okay. His original idea is going to be recommending splitting Kansas and Nebraska into two territories, Kansas and Nebraska. Okay? The problem is those areas are above the slavery line of 3630, which is the Missouri Compromise. Remember, and I'll show you a map, I'm sure, in a second. You can't have slavery above a certain point based on the Missouri Compromise from 1820. So he introduces what's known as popular sovereignty on your test. Definitely on your test. Okay, where people in the territories will decide whether they're going to be slave or free. It sounds like a very democratic thing. Let the people vote. Problem is, it completely gets rid of the Missouri Compromise. Okay, and I'll explain this. All right. So this is Senator Stephen Douglas. We're going to get into him a lot. Here's Illinois. All right, he is looking to build a railroad from Illinois to California. Okay, Chicago would make a ton of money on this. The only way you could do this, though, was through the Kansas Nebraska territory right here. Okay, and according to the Missouri Compromise, no slavery was allowed to be above this line. Okay, it was allowed to be above this line right here. Okay, so the idea of popular sovereignty now opens up this entire region to the possibility of slavery expanding all for a railroad. Okay, it literally, I mean, this is a breakdown of it. It would go from Chicago, Omaha, Omaha to Utah, Utah to California. And because of this, Illinois would make a ton of money on this, but you had to open up this area to slavery. Okay. And it basically negates this line. All right. It basically negates it. Now, this territory is open to the possibility of slavery based on how people were going to vote because of popular sovereignty. Okay, it negates one of the compromises and it opens up this territory now to slavery, which was not supposed to happen. All right. This just kind of shows you a map of the United States by 1860. We'll dive more into that later. All right. But because of this, and you can understand, all right, if you put Northerners in the West, you put Southerners in the West, and you put them into one territory, it's not going to go well. All right. Each side, Northerners, abolitionists, pro-slavery supporters, they rush into these territories, into Kansas. All right. They're going to make Kansas free or slave. The problem is can't expect two sides of two different opinions to actually agree on anything. All right. By the time Kansas votes, and this is a crazy fact here. All right. Kansas has 3,000 citizens in it. When they vote on slavery, 9,000 people vote. So wait a minute, Mr. Murphy, 9,000 voted, but only 3,000 live there. Yep, somebody cheated. Okay, but because of that, Kansas will become a slave territory. Okay, it becomes slave region. The Missouri Compromise is null and void. Abolitionists are livid. Okay, they're not happy about it. Besides the fact that slavery is now expanded into Kansas, they know the votes were cheated on, and fighting actually breaks out. A pro-slavery sheriff is shot trying to arrest abolitionists in the region. Later on, the town returns with 800 men. Fighting breaks out. People die, and it becomes known as Bleeding Kansas. Okay, on your test. A lot of people will actually argue this was kind of like one of the official starts of the Civil War. Not. All right, we'll get into the start of the Civil War in section 4 on Tuesday next week. All right, but it is a major part as far as um, whether or not fighting broke out. All right, fighting broke out in Kansas over the issue of slavery because of popular sovereignty, and it gets the nickname Bleeding Kansas. All right. These were paintings and drawings that were done. This was literally supposedly in the Kansas Capitol stairs. All right. Pro-slave, anti-slave fighting right in the Capitol. All right. I'll let you read this for a second. Okay. Explains what we talked about. Little pictures. Little pictures. Okay. You also had two other things, and I'm going to skip kind of out of order here. You actually had senators starting to fight in the Senate, literally in the Senate building. In the Congress Capitol, you had Senator Charles Schumer of Massachusetts gave this huge speech. All right, singling out Senator Andrew Butler of South Carolina. All right, he was an abolitionist. He was a Southern supporter. Long story short, Butler's nephew came into Congress and literally beat him. All right, so much so that Summer would never recover from his injuries. So again, anytime you spoke about slavery, Southerners took it as if you were attacking them. By 1856, the country is literally falling apart. There's a presidential election. Fighting breaks out in Kansas. You have John Brown's raid. All right, John Brown is going to be an anti-slave abolitionist from Connecticut who leads 7 men into a slave settlement. They murder their owners. They murder the sons. They free the slaves. It just adds to the whole concept of bleeding Kansas. It is a mess. The country is literally falling apart by 1856. Abolitionists, slavery, the Missouri Compromise failed, popular sovereignty, bleeding Kansas, slaves trying to revolt back, fighting in Congress, a presidential election coming, Uncle Tom's Cabin, all of this. And nothing's really being done to stop it. All right. So by 1856, the nation's starting to fall apart. It's on the verge of war. It's almost completely blown apart. Not yet. All right. We still have to get through a couple of things from 1856 on. All right. But again, these are just more reasons for causes of the Civil War. All right. This is actually, I'm going to go back to this later. I'll go back to that later. All right. This was Charles Schumer and Preston Brooks. All right. This is literally going to be fighting on the floor. This is a picture that was done depicting it. And again, you've got congressmen flipping out. You've got people laughing. They thought it was funny. All right. It wasn't funny. You had fighting breaking out in the Senate. Think about that. Slavery was such a hot topic, Northerners versus Southerners, that fighting was breaking out in the United States Capitol building alone on the same time as an election, which is not going to end well. Okay. So today, I want you to watch the slides, watch the videos, read the homework. It is not homework. It's just going to be a little review for you guys. All right. I'm going to give you an assignment on Lincoln tomorrow, which talks a little bit about his opinion on slavery, some beliefs that he had. Because when we get on Monday, we're going to talk about the Lincoln Douglas debates. All right, in detail. Those are famous debates between actually this gentleman here, okay, and Abraham Lincoln, Lincoln is gonna challenge him in 1858 for his Senate seat, and those debates become absolutely legendary. But I'm gonna have you do a little Lincoln assignment tomorrow to kind of give you a background on Lincoln, and then we'll get into those debates on Monday. So again, read the notes, watch the videos, look at the homework sheet, but it's not homework. You don't have homework tonight. You will have it tomorrow for 2 day assignment, and there will be a due date on that. It will be due by Friday. All right, at 11:59. So if you have any questions, let me know. I hope you are safe and healthy, and I will talk to everybody soon.